On this week's show, we look back on a week that saw 3 NFL games on Thanksgiving Day, several big college football rivalry games on Saturday, 2 CFL playoff games on Sunday, and a partridge in a pear tree.
In this week's history lesson, we tell the story of 3 movies starring actual football players who all played themselves.
That and much more this week in the world of football.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 225 for November 30th, 2021. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
Where's the partridge in a pear tree?
It's around here somewhere.
I was forced to read this to start the show, and I see no partridge. I see no pear tree.
Supposed to sing that, and a partridge in a
This
pear
is a
tree.
podcast. This isn't a singing podcast, so you're just picking the wrong fight today.
Fine. We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. From the NFL to the CFL to the XFL, college, high school, indoor, and arena football, we inform and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of the show as well as selected videos. So, let's review what happened this past week, and we begin with the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. We're going to try to fly through as much of the scoreboard as possible, but we do have to start off with the Thanksgiving games. And guess what? We were at the Thanksgiving game in Detroit on Thursday.
Yep.
What an experience that ended up being.
Yeah, it was a great game until the last second.
Oh, well, it was a mediocre game till the last second.
Well, I see. Detroit had the lead going into the last second of the game. And
yeah, well, regardless, everything other than the game itself, I had a decent time. We had typical issues with you finding parking spots, which I made sure to let you know without...
I was really stressing out about getting over there because... Thanksgiving Day, they've got the Thanksgiving Day parade, which goes right down Woodward Avenue, which normally we have to cross Woodward Avenue to get to our parking ramp, but we couldn't do that this time, so we had to go under Woodward Avenue and come around from the other direction. A little minor mistake on my driving part, but we got there in no time, and everything worked out.
It worked out.
Parking ramp.
That's the main thing. It all worked out. We got to our parking garage all right.
Dark and drizzly the whole day.
You made a couple weird turns, which... we ended up fixing. It was fine. It was stressful in the moment because a bunch of us were yelling at you for making a wrong turn.
Yeah.
So I'll own up to a little bit of that. I won't say I'll put all the blame on me, but I would have gotten us there.
I sat up the night before studying a map online of how I was going to get there, what roads I needed to be on, and what would get me there. But again, with the parade and all those people in the downtown area,
throw all that out the window.
I didn't know what roads might be closed off. I mean, I saw a list of roads, but I didn't recognize any of them, so I thought, well, we could be okay on the route I want to take, and it was just very stressful.
Yeah.
And it worked out fine, and getting out of there was just fine too.
Oh, getting out is usually I mean the last 2 times we went because we bought special parking passes. Yeah, so we got out. Easy breezy. I mean, a little bit of traffic this time just because it was Thanksgiving and everybody was leaving at the same time. Because, we actually stayed to the end of the game this time because something was actually going on to the end of the game.
We had to be there to the bitter end.
But I guess before we talk about the game itself, and then we'll start rolling through the rest of the games this week, what was the best part of the experience for you being there at Thanksgiving? I know it's not something we do every year. This is the second time I've done this, third time I've done a Thanksgiving game.
This actually, I realized this is the 5th time I've been to a Thanksgiving game over the years. And this was the first time we've kind of sat over on the visitor side of Ford Field.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of, I wouldn't call them murals, but they had pictures of Lions greats through the years on some of the pillars in that area. And then on another side, they had current players, so they had, Barry Sanders on one side.
You took a lot of selfies with those.
I took a lot of pictures of those because I thought those were pretty cool.
You might need to upgrade your cell phone game if you're going to take nice selfies like that.
And I was surprised they actually had an Elias Brothers Big Boy in the stadium. And we've tried a couple times coming back there to stop at a Big Boy and eat. And we, they're closed for whatever reason when we pull up there. And I don't know. So we've been hungry for a big boy, and I was doing fine. Then your sister and her husband came to the seats with a classic big boy sandwich, and then you went and got one, and I'm like, crap, now I want one really bad. Yeah. So I had to get up and get one, and I did. It was good.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, for game day experience, we went in thinking, we knew that there'd be special performers for pregame and a halftime show.
Yep.
Halftime show, big boy, whatever. I'm not a fan, but he's Detroit,
Well,
native.
That's the whole thing. They want
which is fine, whatever. I didn't watch the show. That's when I went and got my big boy burger, was during the halftime show. But I still saw it on the TV while I waited in the long line. But the Neo, who did the national anthem,
yes,
I saw a lot of people giving him flack for that on social media. I had no problem with it. I was surprised how much I like that.
I'm ex-military. I don't like people messing with my traditional national anthem. Right. I like it just a certain way, but I enjoyed his rendition very much. Yeah, it was very cool.
It was a cool Motown version of the national
tempo.
There were a few times I was like, how are the words going to fit to this? And he found a way to maybe they didn't fit completely, but it still worked in the end. So I was okay with it. I thought it was
really
cool.
Good.
Yeah. So.
I hope it's out on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure you can find that on YouTube. I'm very certain of that.
Very nice, very nice. I enjoyed that.
But anyway, there was a game that was played.
Was there? Was there really?
Technically, a game was played. Whether or not we like the result is a different story because the Lions fell to the Bears 16-14. Carlos Santos kicked the game-winning 28-yard field goal as time expired for the Bears. The Lions, coaching blunder of a double timeout, I think really... I'm not saying that would have helped them win the game, but it really hurt their chances of getting the ball back at some point there at the end of the game.
I knew that was a penalty if you couldn't do it during a kick.
Right.
Like to ice a kicker, you couldn't call 2 in a row to ice a kicker like that. But I didn't realize you couldn't do it just during the course of the game back to back without some other timeout, like an official timeout or commercial timeout or something like that. If it's just 2 in a row, that's a penalty for you. Right. And, of course, Detroit found a way to mess it up.
They should, they claim that they didn't have the defense set in the way they just wanted. Even though you just took a timeout, everything should have been fine, but some guys weren't lined up right. You should have just bit it. You should have just let them score the touchdown. Yeah. Guess what? You're down by another score anyway. You got to go down and get the ball back. At least let them score. That would have given you a lot of time to at least try to do something. But the way it ended with a whimper because all the Bears had to do was literally kneel at the last minute and a half, 2 minutes, and kick the field goal, and that was it. So,
and we were sitting by some number of Bears fans.
Hey,
who were okay.
It could have been way worse.
Obnoxious, yes,
could have been worse. I think there was some bickering going on between some other Lions fans and Bears fans in the section over from us.
Yeah.
But where we had some decent people sitting behind us. We were joking around with a Bears fan behind us a couple points. So, all in all,
we had a good time.
Yeah, all in all, we had no negative things to say. So, I guess that's it for our Thanksgiving talk. Moving on to the other Thanksgiving games that happened on that Thursday. I watched a little bit of this in the car on the drive home, and then caught it as we got home. The finish of this, the Dallas Cowboys fell to the Las Vegas Raiders 36-33 in overtime.
Yeah.
This was a heck of a game here at the end. Las Vegas was up for a while, then Dallas came back, took it to overtime. Derek Carr, the first quarterback in Las Vegas Raiders history with 300-plus passing yards on Thanksgiving. And then the other note from this game is that CBS said the Thanksgiving Day game between these two teams was the most-watched NFL regular season game on any network since 1990.
Wow. So,
CBS said that the game delivered an estimated average of 38.531 million viewers. I mean, the way that game ended, I'm not shocked that it got some eyes on it, but the fact that this is the most viewed game since the 90s, when we literally just had Brady versus Belichick,
but it's Thanksgiving Day, and there's no other games at that particular time. The Lions game was the only game going on at that time.
The Lions game was over.
The only game.
Then this game.
Yep, and then they had the Sunday night game, so that was the only game in town. I can understand going into overtime and all that. People love to see the Cowboys lose, and their fans love to see them win. So everybody was there for one of those two reasons to watch that game.
All right, and then the third Thanksgiving game on Thursday, the Buffalo Bills decimated the New Orleans Saints 31-6. Buffalo has their first win over New Orleans since Week 17 of 1998. They had lost 5 straight games to the Saints.
Yeah, I didn't know which Bills team was going to show up.
Well, nobody knows.
And we got the team that we were expecting, and not the one that showed up the last couple of weeks, but that's what we were expecting from the Bills.
All right, then on the Sunday games, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got a win over the Colts 38-31. Tom Brady now has a 9-0 record against the Indianapolis Colts since the 2010 season, including the playoffs. So I believe he came out and said, you guys might have a horseshoe on your helmet, but it's been lucky for me. So,
jeez.
Yeah, no, take your shots, Mr. Brady.
Yeah, nothing a little arrogant there. Why don't you just scream, you own them, to the camera?
He practically does. The New York Jets got a victory over the Houston Texans 21-14. New York's first win against Houston since Week 11 of 2010. They had lost 3 straight to the Texans before that. The Philadelphia Eagles fell to the New York Giants 13-7. New York has now won 2 straight games against Philadelphia after losing the previous 8 games to them. Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers went down to Miami to get throttled 33-10. Tua Tagovailoa, I always mess up saying Tua's name, but Tua, we all know who he is.
Tagovailoa.
He had the highest completion percentage at 87.1% in a game by a Miami quarterback with 30-plus pass attempts. So that's pretty good company. I mean, especially when Dan Marino hasn't done something like that. Yeah. The Tennessee Titans got obliterated by the New England Patriots 36-13. New England has outscored opponents 135-33 over the last 3 home games they've had.
Dang.
So New England is back.
I guess so.
I guess we're going to have to...
Took them a few games to get back into the
yeah. We're going to have to brace ourselves for New England probably making a playoff push. So.
Yeah.
Another one-sided affair. The Cincinnati Bengals defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers 41-10. Ben Roethlisberger has now lost 3 straight starts against the Bengals for the first time in his career.
Wow.
The Atlanta Falcons beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 21-14. Matt Ryan now 4-0 against the Jacksonville Jaguars in his career. The Denver Broncos shocked the Los Angeles Chargers 28-13. Denver has their first rookie with 2 interceptions in a game since Week 3 of 1989. That was P. Surtain II. I'm not sure what his first name is. I only got the little note here. So, yeah, good for Denver. Denver's been a team that's been up and down. I never know which Denver team's going to show up. And we don't know which Chargers team's ever going to show up, too. One week they score a crap ton of points. The next week they can't do nothing. All right, then the afternoon games, the Green Bay Packers handled the Los Angeles Rams 36-28. We caught a little bit of this game. Aaron Rodgers is now 4-0 at home against the Los Angeles Rams, including the playoffs. Matthew Stafford, 3rd straight game throwing a pick 6, while Aaron Rodgers has 3 pick 6s in his career.
Did you see the graphic? You probably didn't, but earlier today.
Comparing Goff and Stafford?
During the last few games.
3 games, yeah.
It's like Goff has so much better stats.
Well, I wouldn't say better. I mean, it's hard to compare. But, I mean, Stafford's...
You can look at stats any way you want.
Yeah, Stafford's had a rough go of it the last few weeks. I don't know what to attribute it to. People are saying he's injured. People are saying he's in over his head. He's trying too hard with his team. Other people are saying this team is too stacked. They have too many good players that it can't work. So
they've added a couple people of late, and I just don't think they're gelling with the rest of the team. The injuries that they've had,
they've had some really
key players,
key injuries. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. It might take a while to get back in.
Yeah, who knows? They could still make a playoff push, but right now the Rams are in hot water now. They are
looking real good.
Yeah, they're in jeopardy of slipping out of that playoff race. Speaking of slipping out of the playoff race, but how about somebody slipping into the playoff race? The San Francisco 49ers got a 34-26 win over the Minnesota Vikings. Debo Samuel becomes the first wide receiver with 2 rushing touchdowns in a game in the Super Bowl era. This dude is listed as a wide receiver. This dude's the best running back in the league right now. He's been running the ball. He's just a yak machine. This guy is something else out there in San Francisco. And on the Minnesota side, got to be a little embarrassed to see Kirk Cousins lining up under a guard to get the snap of the ball instead of the center, and have the running back have to point that out to you.
It's happened a few times.
Yeah.
NFL Films has caught a few of those, I think.
At first, I thought it was almost a designed play to do that, but it clearly was not. Yeah. All right, in the Sunday night game, the Cleveland Browns fell to the Baltimore Ravens 16-10. Lamar Jackson becomes the first starting quarterback to win a game with 4+ interceptions since Week 17 of 2013. That was by Andy Dalton of the Bengals. Crazy. I mean, did you see the one Lamar touchdown where he went back about 15, 20 yards, heaved it up, and still got it in the end zone?
Yep.
That was pretty good.
I did. Well, keep that in mind, the 4 interceptions and then still winning a game. That's coming up here in a few minutes.
Oh, okay. I'll keep that in mind.
Another one this weekend.
Okay. The Washington football team defeated the Seattle Seahawks this was a heck of a finish last night, 17-15. Russell Wilson has now lost 4 straight starts for the first time in his career, so we're keeping an eye on that. But the Washington football team, first, Seattle gets the touchdown to, go down by 2. They go for the 2-point conversion. They get it intercepted in the end zone. Then Seattle gets the onside kick with 15 whatever seconds left, only to have a illegal procedure call, which called the onside kick return back. So what a crazy finish to that Monday night game last night.
I watched the end of that game, and going for 2 to tie it up, and it got intercepted in the end zone, and just a wild finish.
And on bye this week, the Arizona Cardinals and Kansas City Chiefs. Any other notes from the NFL before we move on?
No.
We're going to the CFL, ladies and gentlemen. It's playoff time up in Canada, and we're going to start in the Eastern Division, where the Hamilton Tiger Cats defeated the Montreal Alouettes 23-12. Hamilton was up 20-3 at halftime in this one. Never looking back, Hamilton quarterback Jeremiah Masoli was 18-28 for 184 yards and a touchdown, while Montreal quarterback Trevor Harris was 28-44 for 364 yards and a touchdown. Montreal wide receiver Eugene Lewis caught 6 passes for 127 yards and a touchdown for the losing team. Hamilton now advances to play the Toronto Argonauts in the Eastern Finals.
Yeah, we've seen this as a trend quite a bit. The losing quarterback just really racks up the passing yardage up there, but they don't get the win.
Everything was in Montreal's favor. They had total yards. They moved the ball so much, time of possession. It was all in their favor, but they still lost. It was crazy.
I had a note that I kind of took out, but I said something like they led in every statistical category except the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And that's kind of true.
That's usually tough that's a tough way to lose. I mean, usually that means you've won or are winning the game, but that scoreboard's the important one.
Yeah.
in
I
the
think
end.
they probably had time of possession and passing stats, rushing stats, receiving stats. But they didn't win the game.
Yep.
Wow.
All right, in the west side of things, the Saskatchewan Roughriders defeated the Calgary Stampeders 33-20 in 2 overtimes. Saskatchewan was up 10-8 going into half, and then the score was tied 27-all at the end of regulation. It was in the first overtime that the two teams traded field goals, and then in the second overtime, Calgary kicker Rene Paredes missed a 44-yard field goal, which left the door open for Saskatchewan kicker Brett Lawther to win the game on a 34-yard field goal. Saskatchewan quarterback Cody Fajardo was 22 of 33 for 189 yards, 1 touchdown, and those 4 interceptions you alluded to earlier.
Yep. 4 interceptions, and you still won the game. Wow.
He also ran 10 times for another 89 yards and a touchdown, while Saskatchewan running back Jamal Moreau had a 69-yard punt return for a touchdown. He also had a 124-yard missed field goal return for a touchdown. That was nullified by a penalty.
Yeah, that was a killer.
Yeah, that's tough. And then for Calgary, quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell was 26 of 36 for 285 yards with no touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Running back Kadeem Carey ran the ball 22 times for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns, while wide receiver Reggie Begelton caught 5 passes for 105 yards. Saskatchewan coach Craig Dickinson defeated his brother, Calgary coach Dave Dickinson, to advance to the West Finals, where they will play the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who have had the best record in the CFL all season long.
Yeah, we had 2 games on side by side.
Yeah, you had
TV.
the split screen going.
Yep, I had Green Bay and Los Angeles on one side, and I had the Saskatchewan Calgary game, and I was flipping back between the 2 of them. God, that was so cool. You got a CFL playoff game, and you got an NFL game with Matthew Stafford in Green Bay. In fact, it was your mom that pointed out, well, you could be watching this in picture-in-picture.
Oh, see.
So I totally forgot about it.
You said, bless your heart,
holy
woman.
mackerel, you're right. And I turned on the TV and set it up with the 2 games. Oh, man, that was nice. It was so nice.
All right, and then you can catch those 2 finals games on Sunday. Again, the Hamilton Tiger Cats at Toronto for the East, and then Saskatchewan at Winnipeg for the West. Again, both those games available on Sunday, probably on your local ESPN channel.
Yes, yeah, both those games were on ESPN. One was ESPN2, and the other one was on, what was the other one?
I don't know. ESPNU, ESPN News?
ESPN News, yes.
Okay, there you go.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to throw it over to Randy with the college football portion of the scoreboard.
Yeah, the college season is winding down. Week 13, the top 4 in the playoff rankings, it was in the FBS. It was number 1 Georgia shutting out Georgia Tech 45-0. It was number 5 Michigan upsetting number 2 Ohio State 42-27 in their 117th meeting. This ended an 8-game losing streak for Michigan and a personal 5-game losing streak for Jim Harbaugh.
Yep.
We watched that game.
We watched that. I had to watch the first hour at work because we had work on Saturday. So a bunch of coworkers, we had the phone out. We had the game going the last hour of the shift, and so we were all cheering because Michigan got that early touchdown, and Michigan was looking good early on. I got back to see you, and they were down, or I think they were just barely up. I forget what the score was.
Yeah, it was close at times, but then they kind of pulled away.
Yeah, I missed some Ohio State scoring.
Yep.
But what a heck of a game this ended up being. Michigan brought it to Ohio State. I thought Ohio State was going to walk all over Michigan.
I did too.
I've been saying all season that I thought Michigan's been a fraudulent ranked team, and I'll own up to it. I'll eat my words. They've not been fraudulent. But they do have a few tough games coming up, and we'll talk about I'm sure. But what a statement win for Jim Harbaugh. I thought his job was on the line with this game. If they would have lost 6 straight, you can't just lose 6 straight to your rival and keep your job.
No matter how much they like it. I mean, he's a Michigan man, which is what they wanted there at the school, and but he just could not beat Ohio State, and that's like one of the big things. You can have a bad season, but if you beat Ohio State, you're okay for another year or two.
Yeah.
This was a big win for Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, and this helps Michigan claim the Big Ten East, so they will play in the Big Ten championship game. Yep. So
we'll have all that rundown.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
But in other scores in the top 4, it was number 3 Alabama over Auburn, 24-22 in 4 overtimes in the annual Iron Bowl game, and this was the first ever overtime game in Iron Bowl history.
Hey, I'm glad we could see history. Like I was tuning to this game. I told you, hey, heads up, Alabama's losing with like a minute left in this game. We could watch Alabama just crash and burn.
Yeah.
And the moment we flipped the TV on, the whole script flipped. It was incredible. Alabama scored. They went to overtime. And here we go. 4 overtimes later, these two teams look pretty evenly matched until I believe Auburn couldn't get a 2-point conversion, and then Alabama did, and that was it. That's all she wrote. And Alabama just got out of there. They were lucky to get out of that game with a victory.
Kinda, yeah. So, they weren't dominating that game like they have been other teams all season long, but they did get the win. It took 4 overtimes, but they did get the win. And then number 4, Cincinnati defeated East Carolina 35-13. In other top 25 upsets, it was Minnesota upsetting number 14 Wisconsin 23-13. LSU upset number 15 Texas A&M 27-24. This was Ed Orgeron's last game as a LSU coach. He's not going to be coaching in the bowl game, and we've got some more news on LSU coming up.
Oh, my gosh. So much news.
Let's see. Shutouts and blowouts. Number 23, Clemson shut out South Carolina 30-0. Nevada over Colorado State 52-10. And it was Kentucky over Louisville 52-21. In some rivalry games, last weekend of the season is always big for rivalries.
Love it.
You got Michigan, Ohio State, but a lot of these other ones are all in-state rivalries, and you just love to see those.
There's just so much on the line with a lot of these, if not for like conference stuff, just bragging rights, and interstate rivals are great. So
it was Florida over Florida State 24-21. Florida fired their head coach Dan Mullins last week, and now they're bowl eligible with a 6-6 record. I questioned that last week. Why would you fire a guy with 1 week to go when you have a possibility of being bowl eligible?
Because then you can still get the right coach in there and have him coach one game to get an idea of what the team looks like. I think that's weird. That's what's so weird about college football.
When you bring a new guy in, he normally doesn't coach. Like if you fire him at the end of the season, they go to a bowl game. The guy doesn't coach in the bowl game. He will be there in the stands to watch the team, but he's not actually in charge of the team because he doesn't know anybody. Let the assistants take over. They've been there all season. But it just seems weird. Just let the guy go through the end of the season, see what happens, and then fire him at the end of the year. But no. But yeah, Florida's now bowl eligible, so we'll see.
College football's weird.
We'll see where they land. Number 7, Oklahoma State defeated number 10 Oklahoma by the score of 37-33. It was number 9 Ole Miss over Mississippi State, 31-21. Number 20 North Carolina State over North Carolina, 34-30. Arizona State over Arizona, 38-15. Virginia Tech over Virginia, 29-24, and it was Purdue over Indiana, 44-7. In the military academy scores, it was Navy winning just their 3rd game of the season with a win over Temple, 38-14. Army improved to 8-3 on the season, defeating Liberty, 31-16, And Air Force improved to 9-3 with a victory over UNLV, 38-14.
48.
What did I say?
You said 38.
Oh, 48-14. I'm sorry. I was looking ahead here. That brings up this Saturday's 121st Army-Navy game, which is going to be played at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. This whole season I've been talking about the game being in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I just assume because it's always in Philadelphia. But no, it's going to be played at MetLife Stadium where the Jets and Giants play.
And I saw that the Army football team is going to be wearing some special 20th anniversary 9/11 uniforms.
I posted a video on that. That was pretty cool this morning. So it's got like a camouflage helmet and special uniforms.
Got the two towers on the shoe, I believe. So
that I didn't catch, but there's a video out there. Check our Twitter feed and you'll find it. So I'm looking forward to that this weekend. In other scores, last Tuesday night, it was our Western Michigan Broncos improving to 7-5 on the season with a win over Northern Illinois, 42-21. And they've been bowl eligible for a week, but now they're just waiting for a bowl invitation. I was looking at some projections, and they were projected to maybe go to the Cure Bowl in Orlando on December 17th. I forget who they had them playing. Oh, I think they had them playing Liberty. So, I mean, that's just somebody's prediction. I don't know how true it is, but
we'll find out.
Yeah, Toledo, I guess, is going to the
Bahamas Bowl.
Bahamas Bowl, so which Western played in a few years ago. But yeah, I mean, a little trip to Orlando. You may be up for that.
Let's not get too crazy.
Hey, I'm retired. I can do that now.
You can do that. I don't care.
All right, spotlight on some lower-level college football games. In the FCS playoffs, first round, it was South Dakota State over UC Davis, 56-24. In Division III, the playoffs second round there, it was Ferris State over Grand Valley State, both here in the state of Michigan, 54-20. In the Division III playoffs, the second round, it was Wisconsin Whitewater shutting out DePaul, 45-0. In the NAIA playoffs, their second round, it was Grandview over Concordia of Michigan, 31-16. Junior college football, the National Junior College Athletic Association playoffs and bowl games begin this week. There were no games this weekend, but this coming week, it's going to be Snow College versus Western Iowa in the semifinal playoff game there. So be interested to see how they do there. U Sports up in Canada, their college football system. Two bowl games that decided who's going to go to the Vanier Cup. In the Mitchell Bowl, it was the Western Mustangs from Ontario over the St. Francis Xavier X-Men by the score of 61-6. And in the other bowl game, the UTEC Bowl, it was the Saskatchewan Huskies over the Montreal Carabins, 14-10. So that sets up this Saturday the 56th Vanier Cup between the Saskatchewan Huskies and the Western Mustangs. And this game is going to take place in Quebec. And finally, up in Canada, Canadian Junior Football League, this Saturday is their championship game, and that is going to be between the Langley Rams and the London Beefeaters in London, Ontario. And that is all of your scores from the U.S. and Canada, college, pro, you name it.
It's a lot
for this past week.
It's a lot, but it'll start dwindling down here soon.
Yeah, it's gonna get a lot easier to put my scores together in the next week or so. All right, moving on to some NFL news. The NFL and the city of St. Louis have agreed on a $790 million settlement as a result of a lawsuit over the relocation of the Rams to L.A. back in 2016 after 21 years in St. Louis. Several attempts by the NFL to have the lawsuit dismissed were rejected. The lawsuit was scheduled to go to trial on January 10th.
And, of course, like any business would, you want to avoid going to trial. So if the NFL could just give them some money and they leave them alone, that's what they'll do.
And I didn't write this down, but I saw they said that as part of the settlement, the NFL wanted certain records to be kept secret. And there are some reporters from St. Louis that want to get those documents and expose them to see what the NFL was doing behind the scenes. So we'll have to see what's going on there. But of course, the NFL doesn't want everybody to know what they're doing. They don't want anybody knowing their business. And some people want to know exactly what's going on. Yeah, they'll take that $790 million, but they probably could have gotten a lot more if they'd gotten their hands on some of those documents that they wanted. Well, we'll see. The New Orleans Saints, are going to induct linebacker Sam Mills into the team's Ring of Honor this Thursday during a game versus the Cowboys. I remember Sam Mills when he was with the USFL's Philadelphia Stars. He's played 3 seasons in Philadelphia and Baltimore, and he was just awesome. And then when he went to the NFL, he played with New Orleans for a few years. He's finished his career with the Carolina Panthers. He has a statue outside the Panthers Stadium, and he is in both the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers Hall of Fame. That's what a great player Sam Mills was. I saw it in the USFL that he was a great linebacker. He was undersized, which is why he didn't get a shot in the NFL to begin with. But boy, he really showed what he could do in the USFL, and he was just awesome. And congratulations to his family. It's a big honor for them to be in the Ring of Honor there.
Yep. And speaking of the USFL,
8 more team logos have been trademarked by the USFL for possible future teams. Now, these are just the logos. They aren't the name itself, but it's the logos, which I think is kind of weird. But the other 8 are the Arizona Outlaws, Chicago Blitz, Denver Gold, Jacksonville Bulls, LA Express, Memphis Showboats, Oakland Invaders, and the Washington Federals. And we kind of talked about this last week, or week before. The San Antonio Gunslingers were a USFL team back in 84, 85, and that name is now going to be used by a National Arena League team.
Right.
So that the San Antonio Gunslingers was not on their list, but all their teams right now are like on east side of the country. So maybe in a year or so they might want to expand to L.A., Denver, all out west that way. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. We'll see what other logos they can ruin, like they ruined the Michigan Panthers logo. We'll just have to wait on that. All right, college news. Michigan State head coach Mel Tucker signs a 10-year, $95 million contract extension. He was just in his 2nd season as the coach of the team. What is the deal with the 10-year contracts now? Everybody that they want to keep around, they're all giving them a 10-year contract. Nobody's going to stay around for 10 years.
We talked about that last week. Contracts mean nothing. Coaches will leave in the middle of a contract to go to a better job. And we have a couple of examples coming up that that prove that to be true. Contracts don't matter.
I know, but just John Gruden got a 10-year contract. Who was the other one recently that got a 10-year contract?
Yeah, I don't know.
Some college coach.
Some college coach. I couldn't tell you the top of my head.
But this is like the 3rd one that I'm aware of recently.
Well, there's another one that we're about to talk about that got a 10-year contract worth the same amount of money, I'm pretty sure, from the reports I read today.
Oh.
Yep.
Are you talking about Brian Kelly?
Yep, I'm talking about Brian Kelly.
I didn't see any numbers.
Yeah, I saw some numbers earlier today.
But after 12 seasons at Notre Dame, head coach Brian Kelly is leaving for LSU. Why would you leave Notre Dame? I thought, that's one of the top teams in the country.
Here's some of the things I thought about when I saw this. So at first I thought it was a joke. But then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, okay, so one of the big things we've been talking about lately, me and some people at work, talk about all the college football craziness that's happening with the playoff. Notre Dame has no conference.
That's right. They're not affiliated with
it. It is harder for Notre Dame to get into any sort of playoff, situation, regardless if they're undefeated or not. It's really tough on them because they don't have a championship game that helps, boost them in, or they don't, have a conference to kind of balance them out. They're an independent. So maybe that's a factor for Brian Kelly to where he's like, well, I've been doing it for 10 years. We made a couple national championships, but that's so hard to do. He beat Newt Rockney's, all-time wins record there. What else could he accomplish there other than winning a full-on national championship? But I think with LSU, I think Orgeron definitely recruited talent. So it's not like I think LSU's talentless. And I think Brian Kelly's been a good enough coach where we saw him turn around that Notre Dame program to where they've been. Yeah. I won't say one of the best, the best program in the country because you've had your Alabamas, your Clemsons the last few years. But he turned that program around. It was a tough start for him there at Notre Dame, and he really got some talent there. And I think he could do that with LSU. I think give LSU another couple of years, they're going to be back in SEC, glory. So as quickly as they rose last time, they win a national championship as quickly as they fell. I think he'll keep them consistent down there.
Well, he started out at Grand Valley State, which we just listed their
score. He went from Grand Valley State in Michigan to Central Michigan University to Cincinnati to Notre Dame. So he's been climbing up, and I thought Notre Dame would be the tippy top of what a coach could do.
Yeah.
But now with LSU, I think LSU makes it interesting because the SEC is the best conference in the country. LSU is going to be able to recruit, a different talent pool of players. I think it'll be easier for them to recruit down there in the South. And I think this, as crazy as it was to hear at first, it makes a little sense to me. It makes a little bit.
Yeah, so he's going to be replacing Ed Orgeron there at LSU.
Go Tigers!
And he probably won't be coaching in any bowl games if LSU gets in.
I'm not sure how that's going to work. I thought maybe he'd still finish with Notre Dame, but I don't know. Because Notre Dame still got a shot to get in the playoff too.
Yeah, they were number 6 last week.
Yeah, so he's
aren't they still right around 5 or 6?
I believe so. We'll find out tonight.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you got like the top 6 team in the country. And you want to go to LSU.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Is it all about the money? Who knows?
The prestige of Notre Dame, though, is,
Prestige only gets you so far.
I don't know. I don't get it myself. I don't get it. All right, and Lincoln Riley is leaving Oklahoma after 5 seasons to take on the job at USC.
This is another situation where people were wondering, with Oklahoma set to join the SEC in a couple of years. That was a rumor to why he made the decision, that he didn't like the idea of it was already hard enough to win in the Big 12. So why now you got to go compete with some of the best schools in the country in the SEC, and you got to fight for recruiting against them. So whatever, he's jumping ship and going to USC. So I mean, USC has been down in the doldrums of college football for a few years. They've had a couple of decent years, but nothing to where the glory days of when Pete Carroll was at the helm there. So I don't know how I feel about this decision, but this is another example of him and Kelly, of 2 guys who had contracts and they're ditching to, go to different schools. Yet the NCAA wants to keep players where they're at. You can't move around like these coaches can, which I think is not fair. But and we already heard like Spencer Rattler, the quarterback at Oklahoma, is going to jump into the transfer portal because of the coach leaving. So, hey, more players are going to be able to do this, I think, because hey, your coach ditched you, you should be able to get out of there too. So
yeah, probably. All right, and so next week is going to be all the conference championship games, and we've got a rundown of all those. Although starting this Friday night, December 3rd, you've got Conference USA championship game, and that's going to be Western Kentucky at the University of Texas San Antonio. That's going to be a 7 p.m. game on CBS Sports Network. And then also Friday night, you've got the Pac-12 championship game, Oregon versus Utah, and that's going to be an 8 p.m. game on ABC. Well, that's going to be in Las Vegas, too. That'd be cool. Let's see. Saturday, December 4th, the Big 12 championship game, Oklahoma State and Baylor. That's a noon game on ABC. And that's at Jerry World down there in Arlington, Texas. The MAC championship game is going to be at Ford Field, Kent State versus Northern Illinois. That's a noon game on ESPN. The Mountain West Conference, Utah State versus San Diego State. That's a 3 p.m. game on Fox next Saturday. Sun Belt Championship, Appalachian State versus Louisiana, 3:30 on ESPN. The AAC Championship game, Houston versus Cincinnati, 4 o'clock game on ABC. The SEC Championship game, man, this will be the game of the weekend.
Probably.
Georgia versus Alabama. Right now they're 1-3. That could change tonight with the rankings.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got 2 of the top teams in the nation meeting for the SEC Championship game. That's going to be a 4 o'clock game Saturday on CBS from the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta.
Yeah, if Georgia wins, I would assume it knocks Alabama out of playoff contention.
I would think so. Yeah,
and if Georgia wins, then both these teams are probably going to have to play again in the playoff at some point.
Hard to say. Yeah, Georgia probably won't drop out of the top 4, but
No.
Alabama could drop out of everything completely.
I think, that's if Alabama loses, they're out. If Alabama wins, these 2 teams are locks for the playoff, especially if the game is close too. That's always a factor.
Yeah. And isn't the final playoff poll coming out Sunday night?
Sunday, yes.
Okay.
So while we're getting one tonight, we'll have one on Sunday. So we'll have 2 polls to have to talk about on the next podcast.
We'll talk about the one that comes out Sunday night on our next podcast.
I'm sure we'll still have to talk about the Tuesday one. So
whatever. All right, then we got the SWAC championship game for the HBCU schools. Prairie View A&M versus Jackson State. That's the one that Deion Sanders is the head coach of. They're playing for a conference championship. That's going to be a 4 o'clock game on ESPN2. You've got the ACC championship game, Pittsburgh versus Wake Forest. That's going to be 8 p.m. on ABC. And finally, the Big Ten championship game, Michigan versus Iowa, 8 p.m. on Fox, and that's from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. So, man, Friday and Saturday, just sit down in your sweatpants, get your food, get your chips, get your pop or your beer or whatever.
There should be
soda.
There's no shortage of good games this weekend.
Man.
Championship weekend in college football is some of the best college football.
Yeah.
And the fact that, there's so much that could happen, to set up the Final Four for the playoff that, this is must-watch television if you're a football fan.
Yes, it is. Yeah, we'll be watching a good share of those. Right now, there's only 2 undefeated teams left in the FBS, and that's Georgia and Cincinnati. They're the only 2 unbeatens left at 12-0. Let's see. I had a note here. We were going to talk about Hard Knocks in season with the Indianapolis Colts, episode 2. I guess episode 3 came out tonight.
It comes out tomorrow night.
Oh, tomorrow
every
night?
Wednesday for the new episodes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I saw something on Facebook and they were talking about episode 3. Yeah. I guess they were previewing it, but we did not watch episode 2. We probably won't be watching any more of this.
Yeah. It just didn't strike me.
No.
I mean, it's a mix of like trying to find time to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then this is one of the things that's like I think I'm burned out on Hard Knocks. I get excited for the main Hard Knocks every year, and I was disappointed with that one. We tried the first episode of this one. It just didn't. I don't know. It just wasn't for me. Didn't.
Yeah, we said we were going to give it another shot, another episode, but we never got around to it, and I really don't care if I see it anymore.
Same here. I'm the same. Especially I'm watching the games every week. I know what happens.
Right.
Like so, I just kind of takes.
If it were a team I really cared about, if they were talking Lions in season, I might be watching that, but. You get all this stuff during the week anyway. So it's one thing to see the inside look at a team that you're not seeing every week, but I really don't care about Indianapolis. Not that they're not a good team or whatever, but I just
I like
not my
Indianapolis.
team, so I don't care.
I like them a lot, but like I already saw them get drudged, or not drudged. Like they had lost a real good game to Tampa Bay. Do I need to rewatch that? And HBO form. I don't know. As much as I like the quality of the show,
this whole Hard Knocks thing, it works in the preseason, leading up to a season because you haven't had any NFL for 6 months. You've got all these new draft choices that came along. You want to see, what new free agents,
all these personalities.
Did they bring in? Yeah, that's are they going to make the team? Are they not going to make the team?
But it feels like
it's going on.
I think I'm realizing that this feels so watered down now because you're in season. If you showed any of these guys doing any crazy weird stuff, that could be a distraction to the team. So I feel like it's extremely watered down. Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, we'll probably watch it, next year when it's preseason time. But this in-season thing, I'm not a fan of it.
Unless something crazy happens and I hear people say you have to watch it, then I will. But I have no interest to watch it.
All right, well, we've been talking about Arena Football TV on YouTube for several months now.
Long time.
And on last week's show, you became the 1,000th subscriber on the air while we were doing this. Yep.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was pretty cool, and they acknowledged that you were the 1,000th subscriber, and so for that they let you pick out whatever games you wanted.
Yeah, I picked
in their library to be posted this week.
Yep. I thought I was just going to get one, but boy, I got lucky. I got 2.
Yeah.
So because I said, hey, what Rampage games you got? They said, well, we got like 30 something Rampage games. I was like, all right, you got anything from the 2001 to 2003 range? Because I wanted some Clint Dolezal action. I wanted some Clint Dolezal Grand Rapids Rampage.
2001 was our first year as being season ticket holders.
But that's how long he was there. I didn't care. I wanted any sort of game with Clint Dolezal.
Right.
And they're like, pick a year. I said, what do you got from 2001? I was like, what other games from the championship year do they got? Because they already posted Arena Bowl 15.
Right.
And when he said they had the 2 playoff games, I initially think I wanted the Firebirds game. That's the one I was going to go with. I remember that game being crazy. The game that sent Grand Rapids to the title game. And that's the one I wanted to go with. But then he decided, well, we'll do 2 this week. We'll put one out on Friday, and then our watch-along game will be the Firebirds game tonight, which usually when I'm sitting here editing the podcast, I can sit and watch live on YouTube while I'm doing that, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, so you got 2 of them. So last week they posted the Chicago Rush at the Grand Rapids Rampage. That was the first round.
I watched a bunch of that. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
God,
and of course we were there.
You were there.
Wow.
I didn't go to any of the playoff games till the championship. No,
it
was you and your brother because you only had 2 tickets. So you got to see those. I had to watch these on TV at home.
Well, I swear that I took some of you kids with me.
Nope, not till the championship game.
I specifically remember that on the way home from the second game, the Indiana Firebirds game, that I was stopped at a store that had a Ticketmaster location, and I bought extra tickets. We were season ticket holders,
right?
So we were going to get our same seats for the playoff game, or for the championship game, which was in Grand Rapids. And I remember distinctly stopping at a store and buying 3 or 4 more tickets for that game. And they were sold out in no time.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was able to snag a few more.
And
they were in the end zone, so that's where you and I and
yep.
Your brother, I think your sister,
yep.
We sat in the end zone. Not our regular seats. My brother took the other seats, and I think my niece was on the other side of the stadium. So we had a lot of family members there for that game, and it was just awesome.
What a great day that was.
Yeah. So two games have been posted. Chicago Rush at Grand Rapids. That had Eli Gold in the press box.
Yeah, and that was the Rush's inaugural season too. Their playoff team.
Yep, they were
Grand Rapids came in as the number 1 seed.
Yep. And then the other game that's going to premiere tonight around 7 o'clock, Indiana Firebirds at the Grand Rapids Rampage. And this one featured touchdown Eddie Brown, the father of Antonio Brown,
yep.
with the Indiana Firebirds. So, yeah, and just so cool that I was at both of these games. I could have swore you were at both of those
games.
Not
the playoff games. I remember watching those at home. I was so mad I wanted to go, and then that Firebirds game turned into a heck of a game for Grand Rapids. So, yeah.
But it was cool that we'd been talking about this for so long. We wanted them to get to 1,000 subscribers. We were encouraging people every week. We kept track of the count.
And the fact that I hadn't subscribed with my other channel.
It was all day long. I kept looking at that, and they were at 999 all day long. And I just thought, man, I've already subscribed with our World of Football identity, and then you realized that you had a second account for YouTube that you hadn't done anything with, and you did, and you saw it turn from $9.99 to $1K.
For my YouTube movies point, I was like, oh yeah, I use this to follow some stuff, but like not a lot. But yeah, it helped them out.
That's awesome. So,
you have a second one too. You could have used.
Yeah, but I didn't think about that.
Yep.
But you did.
I did,
and good for you.
So go be 1001.
All right, let's move on. We got one obituary to talk about this week. This is where we take a moment to pause and honor those who've made the world of football a better place. Curly Culp passed away, a defensive lineman in the NFL for 14 seasons. He died of pancreatic cancer at the age of 75. Culp played college football at Arizona State and was selected in the second round of the 1968 NFL Draft by the Denver Broncos. However, he was traded to the Kansas City Chiefs during training camp. He played for the Chiefs from 1968 to 1974 and helped lead the team to a win in Super Bowl IV. He was traded to the Houston Oilers during the 74 season, and he played for the Oilers through 1980. He was then traded once again during the season, the 1980 season this time, to our Detroit Lions, where he finished his playing career in 1980 and 1981. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2013. He was like the first nose tackle in the NFL. A lot of teams were doing the 4-3 defense, and must have been Houston came up with the 3-4. And they put him there as a nose tackle right over the center, and he just dominated. He just, had he not become that nose tackle for that team, I don't think he would be in the Hall of Fame right now. I mean, he was good, but man, he just got so much attention for the way he could disrupt plays, being right over the center, and just an awesome player. Curly Culp. Sorry to hear that he's passed away. All right, birthdays today. Running back Bo Jackson turns 59 years old today. He played his college football at Auburn, and he won the 1985 Heisman Trophy. He was the first overall pick in the 1986 NFL Draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he didn't sign with them. He was playing baseball, and so the next year he was a 7th-round pick by the LA Raiders, and he played 4 seasons for all with the Raiders from 1987 to 1990. He was also drafted by the Kansas City Royals of Major League Baseball in 1986 as a left fielder. He played for the Royals from 86 to 90. He played for the Chicago White Sox from 91 to 93, and the California Angels in 94. I'm trying to think, was he before Deion Sanders? The two-sport star where he was playing Major League Baseball and NFL. They were right about the same time, I think. But
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't remember which.
I was
which
a little
was first.
little when that was going on.
But yeah, he and Bo Jackson both played baseball and pro football right about the same time. The other the other birthday today is Coach Bill Walsh, who was born on this date in 1931, and he passed away in 2007 at the age of 75. He was an assistant coach with the Cincinnati Bengals under head coach Paul Brown from 1968 to 1974, and then he became the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers from 1979 to 1988. He won 3 Super Bowls with the 49ers and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1993.
And he was with under Paul Brown till 75, not 74, by the way.
I'm sorry. But he's credited with creating the West Coast offense, yes, which everybody uses to this day. But yeah, I mean, what better place to learn than at the feet of the master, Paul Brown in Cincinnati? So, great career for Bill Walsh. All right, anything pop up on your phone while we've been talking before we get into this week's history lesson?
Nothing really. I think there was one news, but that might be something you're going to cover maybe next week. An obituary, so I won't bother right now.
Sounds good.
It's just breaking, so we'll wait for that to kind of clear up.
Okay. In this week's history lesson, we're going to talk about 3 Hollywood movies starring actual football players who starred as themselves in those movies. There was a time when football players were as big as movie stars. If you were good on the gridiron, Hollywood would come knocking at your door, offering you a movie. And that's exactly what happened to Mr. Inside and Mr. Outside, Tom Harmon, and Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch. Halfback Tom Harmon played for the University of Michigan and won the Heisman Trophy in 1940. Hollywood wanted to cash in on his popularity, so the movie Harmon of Michigan was born. The movie came out in 1941. It featured Anita Lewis as his college sweetheart, Peggy, and tells the fictional story of Harmon after he graduated and tries to establish himself as a college football coach. The movie also features a brief appearance of a young Lloyd Bridges. In real life, Harmon was selected as the first overall pick in the 1941 NFL Draft by the Chicago Bears. But World War II had other plans for him. He joined the Army Air Corps and became a fighter pilot, earning a Purple Heart and a Silver Star. He did play briefly in the NFL after the war. He played for the Los Angeles Rams in 1946 and 1947, and was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1954. Harmon went into acting and appeared in many movies and television shows. He also worked for many years as a sports broadcaster. Doc Blanchard and Glenn Davis were backfield teammates known as Mr. Inside and Mr. Outside at West Point from 1944 to 1946. They won back-to-back national championships in 1944 and 1945, and each of them won the Heisman Trophy. Blanchard in 1945 and Davis in 1946. After they graduated, the Army allowed them time off to make a movie called The Spirit of West Point, which came out in 1947. The fictionalized movie featured actor Alan Hale Jr., who played an Army football teammate named Oklahoma Cutter. Most people will know Hale as the skipper on Gilligan's Island. Tom Harmon also made an appearance as a radio sportscaster along with other real-life broadcasters Harry Wismer and Bill Stern. Blanchard was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1959, and Davis was inducted in 1961. In real life, Blanchard was selected as the 3rd overall pick in the 1946 NFL Draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he never played pro football. Instead, he spent his entire career in the military, serving as an Air Force fighter pilot in Vietnam. He retired from the Air Force in 1971 with the rank of colonel. Davis was selected as the 2nd overall pick in the 1947 NFL Draft by the Detroit Lions, but the Army would not let him out of his military commitment to play pro ball. After his military service was completed, Davis signed with the Los Angeles Rams, where he played in 1950 and 1951. He won an NFL title with the team in 1951. Halfback Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch played college football at Wisconsin. He starred in the appropriately titled movie Crazy Legs, which hit theaters in 1953. The semi-biographical movie covers his time playing college and pro football. Many of his LA Rams teammates appeared as themselves in the movie, including Bob Waterfield, Tom Fears, Norm Van Brocklin, and Dick Night Train Lane. A lot of actual football game footage of Hirsch is used in the film, from both his college days and the NFL. In real life, he was selected with the 5th overall pick in the 1945 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Rams, but he decided to sign with the Chicago Rockets of the All-America Football Conference, a rival to the NFL, instead. He played for the Rockets from 1946 to 1948. He also played 9 seasons for the Los Angeles Rams from 1949 to 1957 and won an NFL title with the Rams in 1951, along with his teammate, Glenn Davis. Hirsch went on to become the general manager of the Rams from 1960 to 1969. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1968 and the College Football Hall of Fame in 1974. For all of these great college football players, starring as themselves in a movie was something they couldn't turn down. And it also gave their fans a chance to see their favorite gridiron stars on the silver screen.
Oh, I have to say stuff. Okay, I always forget I'm the one who leads this back in. Hey, look, I'm the movie guy here, so always happy to hear you talk about movies. But well, I
actually own these 3 movies.
Yeah.
In fact, I just got Harmon of Michigan just recently, and
I haven't
watched
seen
it
that
over the
one.
weekend. But I mean, these are not great movies. I mean, they're from the 40s and 50s, so they're more kind of hokey and cheesy. But you get to see the actual, guy. You get to see Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch, and you get to see Mr. Inside, Mr. Outside, and Tom Harmon. So it's cool from that aspect. And like for Tom Harmon, they used actual game footage, when he was at Michigan and with the LA Rams. So that's the appeal of these movies, is seeing the actual person, and they're not just a name on a trophy or whatever, but they're actual people. You get to see them, you get to watch them play. That's what's cool about it. And while I was researching these 3 movies, I found that there were a couple of others where a college star made a movie about his time in college. I don't have those movies, and if and when I get those movies, add them in my collection, we may be doing another history lesson about a couple more movies along the same genre. All right, upcoming events calendar. This Saturday, December 4th, the 56th U Sports Vanier Cup in Quebec, the College Football National Championship game. That's going to be between, Saskatchewan and Western. Yep. Yeah. And then Saturday, December 11th, the 121st Army-Navy game played at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. The following day, Sunday, December 12th, the 108th Grey Cup game is going to be played in Hamilton. Friday, December 17th, you added this last week.
Yeah.
You bought tickets to an early screening of American Underdog. I am looking forward to that movie.
I am too. I can't wait for all the stuff we're going to put out for that. We have some ideas to kind of cross-pollinate our channels. You'll come on to mine. We'll do a movie review, and I'm sure we'll talk about the movie on the podcast the next week. And we'll also have an accompanying video that we've been talking about. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see this movie early and get some buzz rolling for this. And I'm just really excited to see the arena football stuff in this. And
yeah. I've been saying for years there needs to be a movie about the Arena Football League, or get some arena football footage on the big screen.
Right.
I'm looking forward to this. All right, Friday, December 17th, the Amos Alonso Stag Bowl, which is the Division III National Championship game. That'll be played. On Saturday, the 18th, it's going to be the NAIA Championship game being played in Durham, North Carolina. And also on the 18th, the Division II National Championship game will be played.
All right.
And that's everything that I've got for this week. Anything else you want to add before we call it a show?
Not really. We tried to keep it nice and tight. We kind of vamped a little bit here and there, but we kept it under an hour, so I call that a win.
Sure.
We're beating the sun down a little bit.
Yeah, it was daylight when we started, and now it's definitely night.
You can see the sun setting over the trees over there.
All right, well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also like The World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo, where we post a lot of unique stories, pictures, and highlights from all over the world of football. You can also follow our Twitter account, which is at TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this very podcast are posted every single Tuesday and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Our YouTube channel is The World of Football Kalamazoo, so please subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation.
Once again this year, we're doing our weekly NFL picks, but this year they are available exclusively on our YouTube channel, The World of Football Kalamazoo. That's what that is. So look for them on Thursdays. Last week it wasn't on Thursday, but because we were at the game.
We were at the game Thursday, and it was hard for me to find time between trying to get some Thanksgiving goodies.
When we got home.
I was depressed. I didn't want to do any video editing, so I got it done on Friday.
You had to work Saturday and Sunday too.
Oh yeah, I've been busy. Ugh.
Okay. So look for those on Thursdays throughout the NFL.
Yeah, it should be good to go this Thursday. Even though I don't know if it'll take a hit because I'm working on a special birthday video for my brother-in-law. So that might take a bulk of my time tomorrow. So that might delay things. Maybe we'll see.
Okay. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than we do. Join us again next week when we'll review all the happenings in and around the world of football. Until then, I'm Randy Snow.
And I have nothing snarky to say this week.
Thank goodness. We'll see you all next week.